Hello everyone, welcome to Rogue's Reads. I wasn't going to record again right away, but since Rogue has decided to join me, I guess we will. Because, only when I don't want him sitting on me is when he needs to climb up on me. So what are you thinking of the book so far? Are Coke and Pep going to get boiled in oil? That would be really bad, yeah. All right, so he actually was close by listening to the first couple chapters of the book. Our new book is book 2 in the Genius Files, Never Say Genius by Dan Gutman. And I will move the camera and the cat here in just a minute. But they traveled to Illinois. They're visiting the first ever McDonald's, and Archie Clone. He looks like Archie. I kind of wish he had a name. They just call him Archie Clone. Because I think it's kind of disrespectful to not use somebody's name. But I guess when they're a bad guy, maybe not. Anyway, so we are going to find out if Coke and Pep escape from the giant fry basket. And apparently I have to continue scratch Rogue's head while I do this. All right, buddy, you have to do a little bit. Actually, he's probably going to leave now, but since we don't get to see him very often, I thought I would include him in the intro today. Okay, we're going to pick up where we left off. Coke and Pepsi were getting lowered into the vat of boiling oil like French fries. If you've ever seen a video where they lower the baskets, I actually worked at McDonald's many years ago, before you guys were even thought of. And that was actually my favorite job was making French fries, but not out of kids. That's terrible. Just out of potatoes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Now, see, the next couple chapters are really short. So, we're going to go a little bit shorter today, probably, hopefully, because yesterday and the day before were both really long. So, I'm going to cut it a little shorter today. I didn't introduce myself because I had the cat standing on me when I started the video. I'm Renee from Salem Public Library in Salem, Ohio. And this is Rogue's Reads, our virtual book club for kids in 4th to 8th grade. We are reading The Genius Files, Never Say Genius by Dan Gutman. So thanks to Dan Gutman and HarperCollins Publishing for letting us use the book. It is available on Hoopla, so you can read right along with me. I read fast, so that may make it a little easier sometimes if you can actually see the words. Rogue has gone back to his sunspot now. He just wanted a head scratch for a minute, I guess. But he actually does sit very close by. You can see my friend Daisy Ray is here as well. We've already finished her book club for the week, so she's just taking a nap now. Okay, so we are on chapter 3, The Evil Archie Clone. Of course, Coke and Pep knew all about Dr. Herman Warsaw. He was the lunatic who had chased them halfway across the United States, lured them to the house on the rock, and tried to kill them there. Instead, it was Dr. Warsaw who met his end tumbling out of the infinity room to the rocks below. But none of that mattered right now, because the twins were trapped in a 10-foot-tall wire cage that was hanging a few feet over a pool filled with boiling oil. See, I told you Coke and Pep would be lowered into boiling oil, but you didn't believe me. Maybe you'll trust me from now on. The gears turned slowly and the cage dropped a few more inches. Help! Help! Pep screamed as she shook the cage violently. Let us out! Save your breath, Archie Clone said. This truck is totally soundproof. A heavy metal band could do a concert in here and the people standing outside wouldn't hear a peep. Are you going to drive us somewhere and kill us? Pep asked desperately. No, of course not, Archie Clone replied. I'm going to kill you right here. Or to be more specific, I'm going to fry you right here. Hey, you kids aren't French by any chance, are you? That would be ironic. The cage dropped a few more inches. Pep shrieked and began to climb up the sides. Coke desperately looked around for a way out. The bottom of the cage was about a foot above the boiling oil. Dr. Warsaw is dead, Coke shouted at Archie Clone. We were there. We saw it happen. You don't need to kill us anymore. Doesn't matter to me if Dr. Warsaw is dead or alive, Archie Clone said, still smiling. Then why are you doing this? Pep yelled. We never did anything to you. We never even met you before today. True, you didn't, Archie Clone said. But the three of us have something in common. What? Coke asked. TGF, Archie Clone said. You know what that stands for, don't you? The Genius Files. You're one of us? Pep shouted. The cage dropped a few more inches and she climbed higher. The top of the cage prevented her from climbing all the way out. That's right, Archie Clone said calmly, and soon I'll be the only one of us. As part of the Genius Files program, which you would know if you had read the Genius Files Mission Unstoppable, Dr. Warsaw had selected a small group of the brightest children in America. One of these kids might be sitting next to you right now as you read this book. These gifted and talented kids were identified using standardized testing in schools all over the country. Coke and Pep were singled out. They hadn't met any of the other kids in the program, until now. The cage dropped a few more inches, so the bottom of it was now below the level of the boiling oil. Pep screamed. Coke followed his sister's lead, climbing up the wire to avoid the bubbling oil. So your plan is to kill all the Genius Files kids? Coke asked. That's right, Coke asked. Why, Coke asked, what could that possibly accomplish? Stop talking with him, Pep screamed at her brother. Find us a way to get out of here. Oh, hush, Pep, said Archie Clone. There's no way out. I'm sure they told you when you joined the Genius Files that you would get $1 million when you turned 21 years old, right? Yeah, so, said Coke. What they didn't tell you is that it's not $1 million for each of us. It's $1 million for all of us. We'll split it evenly. So let's say there are 1,000 kids who are members of the Genius Files. Do you know what $1 million divided by 1,000 works out to? All right, any of my math geniuses figure that one out real quick? Pep moved the decimal point in her hand. $1,000, she said. That's right, Archie Clone said. You are pretty smart. Now, I don't know about you two, but I'm not going to put my life on the line for a lousy $1,000 when I turn 21. So the more Genius Files kids who die before they reach 21, the more money each survivor gets, Coke reasoned. Hey, you're catching on, big guy, said Archie Clone. And if I happen to be the only survivor, well, doesn't take a genius to figure out what happens. You get all the money, Pep shouted. You're evil. He's also insane, Coke added. Insane, Archie Clone said, laughing. Your mother drove halfway across the country to visit a mustard museum, and I'm the crazy one? How did you know about that? Pep demanded. Oh, I know all about you two, Archie Clone said, smiling. I do my homework like a good boy. How many other Genius Files kids are still alive? Coke asked. And how many have you killed? That's none of your concern, Archie Clone said. The cage lowered a few more inches, and Pep screamed again. The twins pressed themselves tightly against the top. Do something, Coke, Pep shouted. What do you want me to do? He yelled back at her. Why don't you figure something out for a change? I didn't want to come inside this stupid truck in the first place, she said angrily. I knew this was going to be trouble. You told me to relax and have fun. I did not. I wish you two would stop bickering, Archie Clone said. It's giving me a headache. Just think of this as a ride, like at a theme park. Except at the end, you don't get ice cream or cotton candy. You die. Ha ha. He cackled an evil laugh, as if he had heard it in the movies. Let us out, Pep begged as the boiling oil rose inside the cage. Oh, what are you complaining about? Archie Clone said. The admission was free. Ha ha. So put a smile on. You're sick, dude, Coke said. You know that? Genius and insanity go hand in hand. You should get help. Oh, thanks for your expert analysis, Dr. Freud, Archie Clone said sarcastically. I don't know what you're so upset about, Coke. You were going to die anyway. Now you'll just get it over with 70 years early. No point in waiting until the last minute, right? My sneakers are heating up, Pep yelled. I can feel it. The greasy oil was smoking and spitting as it rose, splattering the twins. Don't worry, Archie Clone called out. I don't use any trans fats. You'll be dead soon, but at least you'll die with low cholesterol. You'll never get away with this, Coke told him. The police will be here any second. You're right about that, Archie Clone said. I must be going. It wouldn't look good if I was here when the police find your deep-fried bodies. I hate you, Pep shouted. Archie Clone ignored her and pushed a button on a remote control, which caused a trapdoor to open in the floor about 10 feet behind him. Have a nice life. What's left of it, he said as he lowered himself through the hole. Ha ha, I'm loving it. Archie Clone jumped down through the hole and the trapdoor shut over him. This was bad. The one person who could save them, who happened to also be the one person who was trying to kill them, was gone. The cage continued to lower itself into the oil. Now it was inches from their bottoms as they clung to the top of the cage. Sweat was pouring off of them, dripping into the boiling oil and splattering them. What are we going to do? Pep yelled to her brother. Do you have anything? A tool, a frisbee, anything? Yeah, I happen to have a chainsaw in my pocket, Coke replied sarcastically. Oh, great. Well, what will we do with a frisbee anyway? Coke asked sharply. have a catch to help us forget that we're about to become human French fries? I don't know, Pep said. Maybe you could jam the Frisbee into those gears or something. Stop the machine. Coke looked at the gear mechanism outside the cage. It was about 2 feet away, turning slowly. He could reach it, but that wouldn't do any good unless he was willing to give up a few fingers for the cause. But then he got an idea. Give me your cheese head, he barked. What for? Just give it to me. Coke grabbed the foam cheese head off Pep's head and carefully climbed over his sister to the part of the cage that was closest to the gear mechanism. The cheese head was a little bit too big to fit through the openings in the cage, but it was spongy enough so that Coke could squeeze it between the bars. Be careful, Pep said. Hold on tight, Coke ordered her. He reached his right arm outside the cage and extended the cheese head toward the turning gears, and then he pushed the corner of the cheese head right between 2 gears. The gears bit into the cheese head, ripping at the yellow foam. For a moment, it looked like the gears would simply chew the cheese head to tiny pieces without slowing down the mechanism. But then there was a groaning noise, a lurch, and the gears stopped turning. They had literally bitten off more than they could chew. It stopped, Pep shouted gleefully. We're saved. Not yet, Coke said. He still had to climb over to the other side of the cage and open a latch that was holding the top on. After struggling for a few minutes and nearly falling into the boiling oil below him, Coke managed to force open the latch and push up the top of the cage. He climbed out and then extended a hand to pull his sister up after him. They jumped off the top and landed on the floor without getting hurt. The cage was almost completely submerged in oil. Let's get out of here, Coke said. Moments after they pushed open a door and ran out of the truck, Coke and Pep spotted their parents in the parking lot, walking excitedly back to the RV. Oh, you kids missed something great, Dr. McDonald told them. You should have seen it, said Mrs. McDonald. We found the shoe store. This guy, Robert Wadlow, was 8 feet 11 inches tall. That is really tall. His foot was enormous. It was 3 feet long. Imagine that. A foot was 3 feet. Just amazing. How was the virtual French fry demonstration? Asked Dr. McDonald. Very exciting, Coke said honestly. Yeah, we really got to feel what it must be like to be a French fry, said Pep. Where's your cheese head? Mrs. McDonald asked her. I lost it, she replied. It was true, technically. I paid $14.99 for that cheese head, Dr. McDonald complained, his voice rising. Don't be mad, Ben, so I said. It's their birthday. You're right, he said with a sigh. It's hard to be mad at somebody on their birthday. All Pep did was lose her silly cheese head. It wasn't like she murdered anybody or anything. Well, there was Dr. Warsaw, but... Hey, how about we go to McDonald's for dinner? Asked Mrs. McDonald. I bet you're really in the mood for French fries after seeing that demonstration, huh? The twins looked at each other. We're not hungry, they said simultaneously. Okay, I think... All right. Yep. All right. So chapter 4, the first cipher. Oh, we're going back to ciphers. It had been a long day, a ridiculously long day. It seemed like ages ago when Coke and Pep were being chased through the house on the rock by Mrs. Higgins, their evil health teacher. They had clotheslined her with a piece of twine stretched across a walkway in the dark. Then they were grabbed by those 2 bowler dude maniacs dressed in suits of armor who dragged them to Dr. Warsaw. He would have killed them for sure if they hadn't snatched away his portable electronic torture device and pushed him out of the hole, the bottom of the infinity room. And now this Archie clone lunatic had nearly deep-fried them in a pool filled with boiling oil. Some birthday. The next scheduled stop was Chicago, just 20 miles away, but it's hard to find a place to park an RV overnight in such a big city. So Dr. McDonald decided to splurge and have the family spend the night at a motel in Des Plaines. He pulled into Best Western Des Plaines Inn, just down the road on Lee Street. It would be nice to sleep in a regular bed for a change. And instead of jamming the whole family into one room, they got 2. One for the kids and one for the grown-ups. The twins didn't ask for cake or ice cream or some sweet treat to top off their birthday. All they wanted to do was go to sleep and try to forget what happened over the last 24 hours. They were exhausted. Before Coke took off his pants, he checked the pockets and found the tickets that Archie Clone had given him for the French fry exhibit. He turned one of them over and saw this written on the back. This is Hated Day Happy. Coke puzzled over the 3 words for a minute, then handed the ticket to his sister. What do you think this means? He asked. Pep looked the tickets over. make any sense, she said. Do you think it's just random words? It may be meaningless, Pep replied. Or it may be a cipher. Oh no, not another one, Coke groaned. Pep loved ciphers. While Coke's brain excelled at accumulating and storing huge quantities of information, Pep was good at organizing and analyzing it. She loved word games, number games, and trying to untangle secret messages and codes. She was fascinated by anything to do with spies and spying. During their drive from California, every few days Dr. Warsaw had sent them a coded message which Pep was always able to decipher. That's how they knew to go to the Infinity Room at the House on the Rock. Some of the messages were harder to decipher than others. But Dr. Warsaw was dead. Or at least they assumed he was dead. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was alive, and hated day happy was another secret message from him. Or maybe he had created the message before he died. Or maybe somebody else had taken over the Genius Files operation and was sending them ciphers now. Who knew? Pep pulled out her notebook, lay down on the bed, and wrote out the letters. She stared at them. The ciphers seemed pretty straightforward, and it didn't look like a particularly difficult code to crack. She turned the letters backward. Y-P-P-A-H, Y-A-D, D-E-T-A-H. Nope, that was meaningless. She wrote down every other letter, and then every third letter. She held up a mirror to the words. She transposed the letters and then tried jumbling them around randomly. Nothing worked. Everything she did to the cipher made it look less like real words than it had at the start. She was feeling sleepy, like her brain was working at half speed. And then, just before her eyes were about to close for the night, she figured it out. I got it, she whispered to Coke. It's a simple anagram. And then she wrote something in her notebook and handed it to her brother. Happy Death Day. And that is where we are going to stop for the day. I promise you guys I'm going to keep it a little shorter today. We're actually under 20 minutes for once. So we will pick back up tomorrow and see what kind of adventures Coke and Pep get into next. A little math activity for you today. The guy with the giant feet. What did they say? His foot was 3 feet long. Find a ruler or measuring tape somewhere in your house. Hopefully you've got something you can measure with. Measure your own foot and see how big it is, and then measure out how big 3 feet would be to see just how big this guy's foot really was. 'Cause I always say I have really big feet, but I know mine definitely are not 3 feet long. So I'm going to stop there for the day. And we will pick back up with chapter 5 tomorrow. And so I'm filming this on Wednesday. Right now the sun is out. Hopefully it stays out so you guys can get out and enjoy some sunshine. And hopefully I will see everybody soon. Keep in touch. I love comments and feedback. So, if you're liking the book or if you're hating the book, let me know. And I will hopefully see everybody soon. Thanks. Bye.